Hello, you guys, and thanks for tuning in today. This is I am Stephanie K. If you don't know me from Unveiling the Spirits, I am a relationship and spiritual relationship and life coach. And this is Willie Johnson he is also a life coach from For a New Day. And today we are going to talk about the fear of failing. We have been doing some of these videos recently, just kind of coming up with topics that we think might be interesting or helpful to you guys. And so we're going to cover this one today and hopefully you get something out of it. So again, we're going to talk about the fear of failing, and that's what we're talking about. I guess a good way to get this going is, I guess, talking about our own experiences with the fear of failing. Have you had any struggles with like fear of failing in your past, especially with starting a coaching business and things like that, because you usually kind of work for yourself?
Yeah, it's funny too when you kind of there's that fear in general, so we have that generalization of just fear itself, which everyone at some form of fashion has dealt with with that fear. But then when you start thinking about fear and failing at something, that too is something that you kind of go, hey, do I want to do this? Am I going to fail? And that kind of pushes us right back. We either don't even go forward to it. So we don't even know if we would even actually succeed in it. So for me, speaking specifically into coaching and wanting to go forward and helping people, it was one of the first things that when I thought initially, like, yeah, this sounds like something I want to do. This sounds great. I talk to people all the time. And one of my biggest loopholes was actually something in this fashion, which was getting on camera, talking to people or not even talking to people because there was nobody there. Right. So it was that,
Right.
it was that, hey, if you have a message, if you want to communicate with people, you have to either, put that message out there, whether verbally or in video or communicating it written. And it's different because, we have things that we want to communicate, but when you start to think that someone else is going to see that and critique it, I don't even know if it's so much of a fear of failing, but more of a fear of judgment, right? It's a fear of what is someone going to think? What is someone going to say? What are they going to agree with you? Are they not going to agree with you? So the fear turns into not just a fear of failing, but more of a fear of like, who's going to even relate to you? Are they going to disagree with you? How to respond to that? And that turns into a whole different level, of
Right.
of doing it. And so I never forget like the first time I actually like did the video, like I was so terrified. I don't even know, like it was just like it was pathetic. Like it was literally pathetic, right? But it was so much on the inside, right? So then I remember doing it and I remember feeling like just sick to my stomach. And I remember talking to my mom and she was like, I was like, Mom, I was dying on the inside. I was sweating, I was sick. And she was like, no, I couldn't tell. But that's mom. Mom always gonna say that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's just so amazing because our minds, just from a natural instinct of protection, our minds have this, instinct that it wants to protect us from any sort of thing that it feels that it's endangering. And that's usually something that we've never done before. So it's not unnatural to have it. I feel like if you're not having, I always say, if it's not fearful, it's probably nothing that's really pushing you out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Right. Because if it's not a fearful thing, then it's probably something that you're so used to doing.
It's
I mean, don't get me
safe.
wrong. There are those people that you just throw them out there. They don't care, or they are fearful. Like you hear sometimes even entertainers that you see them do stuff on stage in front of the nails, say, oh yeah, every time I go out, I'm usually just, nervous or terrified or fearful, but they just still do it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's okay to have that fear. It's okay to understand that fear, but separate that fear from being judged, because I think that is, people say they're fearful. No, I think it's more of a fear of being judged versus a fear of doing it. Because I feel like you're either going to succeed, you're either going to fail, which is just another word for learning, or you're going to survive, right? I mean, we're not talking life or death.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Because those are
Yeah,
different kind
yeah,
of fears. It's
exactly.
not a life or death fear of what we're doing, whether it be coaching. But that was probably my most fearful one, was kind of like stepping out onto that, that camera, speaking on an event. And it's still something of nervousness. But one thing that I've learned is that as you continue to do something, you start to kind of shed that fear away. It's like an onion, right? You start to
Mm.
peel
Mm.
that back. Because if you're coming from a place of being genuine, if you're not coming from a place where I'm trying to be someone else,
Mm.
if you're just, hey, this is me and you talking, this is me. If we was off camera, we talking the same way, right? So
Exactly.
if that's who you are, then it becomes a little easier just to be authentic, to be yourself,
Mm.
versus trying to be someone else because we see other people do it and we go, man, they're really good at that, or whatever it is. But you just go, hey, I'm not going to be that way. I'm just going to be me.
Mm.
And then I think that again takes away that kind of fear of trying to be someone else. Just be yourself. So it's frightening, it's scary. It kind of reminds me of the feeling too. Once I finished it, was like, you ever wait in like a line for a roller coaster,
Mm.
especially a big one, right? I remember going to Six Flags or Magic Mountain, one of those big, and
Mhm.
you so scared. You like almost to where you start getting closer to the ride. You like, I don't know, this is not a good idea.
I
And
bet.
then right, and then even worse when you start going up the thing. And I remember
Mm.
even people be like, I want to get off. I want to get off.
Right,
Let me off.
right,
Let me off.
right.
But then once that thing go and you realize, hey, you know what? It's scary, but I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
You get off, you the first one to try to get back on the ride.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like a equivalent like to that sort of thing. That's kind of
Hmm.
what it's like doing something that you want to do, but there's, removing the judgment, just going, hey, this is what's going to happen. I'm gonna be okay, but it's natural to be fearful. And so you
Yeah.
have to have that mindset to say, hey, it's going to be okay, but you have to be coming from a place of being genuine, and it has to be something you want to do too.
Mm.
You
Mm.
can't be doing it for any other reason. Like us being here, we can't do this because someone else wants us to do it, or we
Mm.
can't reach out to help people and try to help them in their lives, or you know coach them in their lives with stuff that we've been through. If 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 they if we don't want to do that, what I mean, we have to be coming from a place that go, hey, we really want to help someone. Like that why has to be really strong, and going towards something, because it is fearful. We're putting ourselves out there, we're being vulnerable, so it's different, you know so it's not the same thing,
Yeah.
not
Um,
at all.
yeah, I mean, you really touched on a lot of points, and I'm like trying to figure out which I want to kind of dive into, because there was like so much in there as far as like um, judgments, and if you like, to me, some of what I was hearing was like, are you really capable of like are you capable of doing what you are set out, what you're trying to do? And so I
Right.
think that's kind of where the fear of failure judgment from other people comes from, is like, because deep down you're already questioning yourself. And so when
Yeah.
all other people come in, it's almost like they're giving life to those doubts that you already have inside of you, and then it kind of escalates from there. And so, but that's like a really important thing. And then you talked about your first time doing a video, which of course I was laughing because I can totally relate. I think even when I go back and look at my older videos, it's just like, oh my goodness, this is terrible. And you do learn as you keep doing it and stuff like that. And I think, of course I'm not in your shoes, so I don't know how you feel, but for me, um, I'm an introvert. So even me putting myself out there, I think it was a little bit more of a struggle, because I'm so used to kind of staying to myself, and, and not really I'm not very, very social. And so
Right.
it just kind of compounds it. But, um, you know, another point that you made, which was very good, is that you push past it. And so that's really, really important, because at the end of the day, what you are fearing, and it goes again to what you were saying about your mind. It's the power of your mind, because what you are fearing is actually just your imagination. It is just
Mhm.
something you are creating in your psyche, and then you're reacting to that. You're actually not reacting to what is going on around you as much as you're reacting to what you have created in your mind. And so
Right.
the challenge is
Exactly.
to tell yourself that that thing that you have created in your mind is not reality. Like it's an illusion, for lack of a better word. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
possibility, but how many times do we imagine something and it turns out exactly the way we were imagining it? Like that usually doesn't happen. And so
Right.
it's
Right.
caught up in our imagination,
Mhm.
like thinking that this thing is going to happen, but the chances of that happening is actually pretty slim. And if
Right.
you imagined it and it came out exactly the way you were imagining, then you probably in the wrong field. You need to go like you like, I don't
Right.
want to say a psychic, but you can like, you like a psychic or something, so and you can use that gift for something else. And so, but anyway, my point is like, I think it's, for me, it's always been good to kind of talk myself off the ledge, because by
Hmm.
understanding that what I'm being fearful of is probably 90% my imagination. It's like I have to bring my imagination back down to reality. Okay, what is the chances of this thing happening? If
Right.
it happens, are you going to, like you say, life or death? Is it the end of the world? No, so I kind of have
Right.
talk myself off the ledge a little bit and understand that my imagination is not um, the key to my future. I mean, imagination works in some respects to your future, but we're not going to go into that. But so that's kind of, how I dealt with, the same thing with you as far as like doing the videos. Um, and, just really understanding that my imagination is not as important as it seems sometimes. And so our minds are really powerful in that way. And you can, and that's why it's good to imagine like your future and what you want to do and have those hopes, because
Right.
your imagination can push you forward in those instances, but then it also can hold you back if you're like imagining all this terrible stuff happening. Even when it comes to judgments, like you were saying, okay, if somebody does say something bad about me, the question is, okay, then what? Like, what does that mean? How does
Right.
it affect you? Like, is it really going to change this? Or, and so that's usually how I kind of deal with the fear of failure. And I do still have it, from time to time, because we're still human. But I kind of just, talk myself off the ledge. And, I think that's all I was thinking. It seemed like I had another point I want to make, but it slipped out of my head. So,
No, no, but you're right. It's and it's not even, when you say, you keep pushing forward, because at some point you have to say to yourself, you know what, we talk ourselves out of it. That's a perfect way to explain
mm,
it, because
mm,
you're literally, you say, okay, for example, you get them say, okay, I'm going to do this today. No one else knows what you're going to do, right? The
mm,
people, if you
mm,
say social media, since that's what we're talking about, the social media world, they don't know. It's not like, even if you did put it out there, okay, you're going to post, you're going to do out there, and you're going to do a video at 6 p.m. on Thursday, so you're putting out there, and there's a saying that goes, people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are, right?
right,
So
right,
so you
right.
so we think somebody really think about but they really aren't. So you almost have to put yourself in that box and say, hey, you know what, I'm not worried about everybody. I'm showing up and I'm trying to speak to a specific person. I'm talking
Mm,
to someone. And usually for me, what helps is I'm usually end up talking to myself. In other words, hey, this is what helped me, right? This is
mm,
what I was
mm,
dealing with. This thing I'm talking
mm,
about was something that I was struggling with. So this is how I learned, so
mm,
it's almost like I know it works, or I know it made sense to me. So then I take away trying to prove something or be right or wrong, because really it's not a right or wrong. I'm just telling you how I see something from my angle, right? This is my perspective on
Mm.
something. I'm not saying that my answer is the only answer. I'm not right, I'm right and you're wrong. It's not even a debate. I'm giving you my opinion. I'm showing up and being vulnerable of my story,
Mm.
so so it's when you start chopping all those things away, then it becomes, okay, well, maybe it doesn't sound right, and then we start trying to perfect it. We come up with, we get rid of one doubt and then another one come up. So it's like,
Right.
just show up, go in there, do it, and you're right, even going back, like, I think it took me, I would say probably like maybe 6-7 months before I even watched anything. I know it sounds great. Like, I wouldn't even watch it. I wouldn't even listen to it. Like, just the sound of it just sounds like, oh, that sounds weird. You sound crazy, right? Is that because I noticed that it's because it's like, stay away from it. It's almost like, I have, it goes back to that, like you were saying, that reasoning for what you're doing is having that why. That why is so strong. I know what I'm trying to do, what I want to do. I want to help someone. And so I can't get distracted about how I did it, like trying to be perfect or have the right words or do it, because then I'm starting to critique myself. Then I start going, oh, well, that sounded weird. I don't want to do it. So it's like, just keep moving forward, right? Just keep moving forward. Like, you know what? Because you're going to get better at it. Your message is going to get clearer. You're going to get clearer, but you just have to keep moving forward and moving through that fear. I say all the time, I used to say, hey, people say, well, how do I, get through the fear or overcome the fear of failure and all that? I say, you got to just outwork it. In other words, outwork it to a sense where if I'm afraid of something and if I keep doing it, at some point I'm gonna forget that I'm afraid of it, because I'm so busy trying to outwork it. I'm trying to get ahead of it. I'm trying to outrun it. If the fear is behind me, guess the best thing you do when you afraid of something, what do? You hear something, you're gonna run, right? So it's like, so you hear something and to hear a noise is fearful, you're gonna run. You're not gonna stand there. So you outwork that fear. So if it's the fear speaking, you just show up and keep speaking. If it's a fear, writing, just keep writing. Whatever it is, if we keep doing it, we'll gain that competency. We'll start to be confident, and then that builds in the confidence. And that's where you'll find your own identity, because at that point, you're not even worried about comparing it to anyone else. You're just your own person. That's where your uniqueness comes in.
And with what you were saying is it reminds me of something that I say about, it's like you practice confidence, because confidence, like what you said, when your competency increases, that naturally affects your confidence. And it's almost like within growing that competency, you are practicing confident.
Yeah.
Like, you don't really feel that confident in the beginning. And because a lot of the times when you step out in areas that you're unfamiliar with, you're gonna lack that confidence. And so but when you push past that, and then you make one step, and then you see that, oh, it wasn't that bad, and then you make another step, because I tell you, hands down, our imagination always will be worse than what will actually happen. And so you might be thinking, like we were just talking about before, I had like a dream that I did a speaking event and I forgot all my words and people were laughing at me. The chances of that actually happening are really slim. And so once you push forward and then you step out there and say you do a speaking event and then you didn't forget all your stuff, it increases your competency, it increases your confidence. And so as long as you keep pushing forward and kind of gaining these skills, and also seeing that the reality of it is nowhere near as bad as you were imagining, that just gradually helps you grow your confidence in yourself and your ability to do things. And I mean, for me, it's really directly connected to like your relationship with God, because some people can really, really struggle with their confidence. And you might need help, like a confidence coach or something like that, before you can actually get out there, because some people might struggle with their confidence. Like what we're talking about is like normal struggles with kind of confidence that everybody.
Exactly.
But some people have like debilitating issues with their confidence. And so you may need some help in that area to kind of build your confidence up to, more steadier ground before you kind of take on something big. Because if you do, the first thing that is going to go wrong, you're going to be like, forget it, you know. And so, um,
Done.
but it's, to me, it's really important for me to keep my confidence stable in the fact that I know who I am in Christ. Like, I
Right.
know that my Father is the creator of the universe, the sun, the moon, the stars, the human body, all the animals. And so it's no way he made a failure. You know, it's no way he made me into somebody who can't be as creative as he is or be as intelligent he is, but you have to put the work in. And once you put the work in and you see what you're capable of, it gradually starts to build your confidence in the areas that you might be lacking in. And so,
Right.
yeah, so
Right.
that's been like a key thing for me also.
Right. No, exactly. And it's knowing, like you said, knowing who what you're made of. And it's almost like you have to remind yourself of that, right? It's like we
Yeah,
always go through and we go, wait, you know, if God be for me, who can be against me? So it's like, what am I worried about? You know, it goes
yeah,
back to what am I afraid of? Again, I'm showing up from the right place. You know, I people always say, you know, well, I don't know if it's right, or what if I'm, you know, if it's in here and if it's in the right place and if it's in your heart, then that was given to you to do,
mm,
then it's
mm,
right. You're
mm,
not, it's not for you to convince someone because you can't.
right,
We don't have that the power is not for you to try to convince someone. You just need to show up from the right place,
exactly,
and for whatever it is that you're doing, it will speak to that person, whoever it's for. It might be
exactly,
for one person, it
exactly,
might be for 1,000 people, but for
exactly.
whoever it's for, whatever you're showing up doing, it will speak to that person.
Mm,
Whatever you're doing, whoever it's for, it will speak to them. So it's yeah, it's just having a strong understanding of who you are, what you're, you know, what you're capable of, what you're doing, and then and it falls back to your reason. You know,
mm,
your, what I always
yeah,
say, your why. Your
mm,
why is going to be your biggest thing, because we're always
motivation.
going to have what you call that imposter syndrome, and you know that's always going to show up as something new. You know, talking in your head, oh, you're not you. No one's going to want to listen to you. No one's going to do this, but you have a strong enough why. I'm being pushed into this because I want to help people. You know, God's given me this to help people, to use my gifts, my voice, my, you know, my abilities, talents, and nothing can change that. You know, and so it's just you having that strong unbreakable why. So if someone does say something negative or someone does speak against you, you just have to let them have that. That's your opinion.
Yeah,
Sometimes, I mean, I see that stuff, people will say something, I just kind of, I look at it and there's a part of me that wants to say something, but I go, you know what,
yeah. It's
I
not.
have to tell myself, I have to tell myself I'm serving a higher purpose than what you're
Yeah,
even talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
If you can't understand what I'm saying, then that's
Then it
not for
wasn't for
you.
you. Exactly.
What they say, what they say about I remember being young, my mom said, boy, that went above your head.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was above your understanding. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
so not to say that I'm better than you or not, but to say
Right, right, right.
for you to talk negative about what someone's trying to do
Mm,
and then not trying to harm anybody, then
right.
that means that this is above you, you know, so
Yeah,
you can't be fearful in going towards something if you are coming from the right place, because
yeah.
your intention is going to be known,
Mm-hmm.
because it's going to show up in your heart. So if your intention is just like, you know, people show up and they say, well, I want to do this. And I say, okay, well, why? Well, because I want to make money. Okay, well, you probably not going to make it too long.
Yeah, that's not a good.
Because if
Yeah.
you're,
Mm,
I want to do what you do because I want to make money. I say, well, your attention probably not going to get you too far, because that's not what it's all about.
mm,
You got to have something a little, and because the first thing I say when someone says, what's the first three things, you know, if I said, then don't start off with, I want to make money. That's not the first one. You got to give me
yeah,
another
yeah,
one. What's the why? Well, money
yeah,
can't be the why. That's a
yeah.
result. That could be a result, but that's not a reason,
You're
right?
exactly.
That's a result, not a reason. So a reason is my family, my kids, my, you know, my mom. Those are reasons. The result is the money, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you
That's a
gotta
very
have a
good point.
strong mind. Yeah, and
Mm,
those will push you, you know, you get up and be like, hey, I'm afraid, but you know what? This is for my daughter,
mm,
this is for my
mm,
wife, for my husband.
mm,
Those are the things, you know.
mm,
Me, when that alarm go off in the morning, I'll be like, I don't want to do this.
mm.
Why am I doing this? You know, so
Yeah.
those are the, so anybody that has that, you know, that's fear, you just gotta, outwork that fear and just keep
Yeah.
doing it. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, at the end of the day, if it makes you feel good, if it makes you feel good and you feel right in your heart with that, it don't matter if one person like it, nobody like it. Who cares?
Exactly. As long as you, yeah, doing. And so when you said, what does this say? What do you say? Work. What's how you say it? Work.
Outwork your fear.
Okay, outwork your fear. Yeah. And so I guess my equivalent to that is like practice confidence, because it's almost like a fake it till you make it. Just practice
Mhm.
being confident, even though you don't feel it. Just practice it, and eventually it'll come. So it's like basically the same kind of thing.
Mhm.
The last thing that I kind of want to touch on before we wrap this up is I have a my daughter just turned 20 years old, and so she
Mhm.
getting going in her life, and a lot of times she comes across these kind of obstacles that make her like fearful, and then I kind of have to talk her off the ledge. But one of the things that I always tell her is like, failure is not trying, because the reality is that as long as we're doing something with ourselves, like we weren't created to sit around. Like, we're not trees, we're not stuck in the ground. We move, we talk. We got designed us to be fulfilled with having a purpose. So we were created to do things. And so
Exactly.
as long as you're doing something and you're refining your craft and you're moving towards where you're trying to get to, even if you don't get exactly to that point, okay, like say for example, you want to be a movie star and you want to be, win all these Grammys, or I don't even know if Grammys, I think Grammys is music, but say you want to be,
Right.
the cream of the crop. Even if you don't get there, as long as you're refining your craft, you're going to land somewhere that is
Mhm.
than where you were. And so you
Mhm.
have to just, so if you consider that you staying where you are is like the starting point, if you stay at the starting point and you never move, that is actually failure. It's not trying, because as long as you're moving, as long as you're doing something, as long as you're cultivating
Exactly.
craft or your gift or whatever, um that's that's where you have to like change your definition of failure. I don't know if you're following what I'm saying, because some
100%.
like
Yep.
failure is like they're not going to get the $1 million. Well, you might not get the $1 million, but that doesn't mean you're a failure. So you kind of have to
Correct.
refine your idea of being a failure or what it means to you, because in my understanding of being a failure, it's never moving. Like, that's a failure to me. So I mean, if you can kind of, I don't know what you think about that or how you see that.
No, no, I agree with you 100%. I mean, the failure is not trying, right?
Yeah.
That's the failure. Failure is not trying, because it's, you're right. It's redefining your mindset, because it's not about, like you say, there's results. And what happens is we focus so much on, we start off with the goal, like, well, we're going to, be the millionaire. We start off with the goal, but it's not about that. It's about the process of
Exactly.
doing something, right? So the process of doing something, because if you just say, for example, you say, okay, I want to become that or be a millionaire. Okay, so what are those things that those people are? What do they do? So if you
Mm,
just forgot about the end goals, it's okay, what do those things do? Okay, I got to save money. I got to spend wisely. I
mm,
gotta, earn more than I spend. All these little things. If you just start living that way, you're gonna be successful regardless. You might not hit that million, but you're gonna create what we call a habit of living that is going
mm.
to put you on that pathway. You might,
Yeah.
you might get there, but you're going to be so different from the way you were, that
Mm.
you're going to be successful in some form, just by
Exactly.
becoming a certain way. So it's
Exactly.
it's like you might not reach, like you said, that Grammy or multi, movie star, but that mindset of pushing yourself towards something,
Mm.
and continuing to try, eventually something's going to happen.
Exactly.
It's like
Exactly.
it's like it's like a resistant. If you keep pushing to something, something's going to give. If you put
Exactly.
your focus and your efforts and you keep pushing to something, it's going to happen. So stop worrying so much about the result,
Yeah.
and just keep focusing on the way you're going, because it's about becoming, because eventually you're going to become that that you're looking to go towards. And before you know it, yeah, you're going, it's like, hey, I might not run a marathon, but if I keep running a mile every week, I keep running, at some point I'm gonna end up running a marathon. I won't even know it. I'm gonna be a marathon runner.
Exactly.
So yeah, so just keep going.
Yeah, and then in that course of doing that, you're bettering your health.
Oh, yeah, everything.
Yeah, you're just getting all these other benefits that to you, like you're looking over here, but there's stuff that's going on here that's actually enriching.
You're changing.
Also, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we don't want to make this video too long, so I think that's a good stopping point. Did you have like anything else you wanted to add or anything like that?
No, I enjoy it. Like I said, I love these topics. I think these are things that have helped us.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it helps someone out there, and we'll just keep bringing these topics, and eventually get to a point where people can maybe send in some topics and things that they're struggling with, and that we could talk through. But no, I enjoy it. I love it.
All right, me too. And we'll make another video soon. So thanks you guys for tuning in, and see you next time. Bye.